This is Quakecast episode 60. On this episode, we welcome bmFbr and Greenwood from the Alkaline mod. This is a recent release. This mod is a base mod. It's got all kinds of new monsters and recycled things from other mods that were improved and given new life. So it's a really spectacular pack. And the mapping is amazing as well. So we're going to talk all about that and dive very deep into behind the scenes of the creation of the Alkaline. Before we get to the interview, I just wanted to pick up one thing that didn't get recorded. Greenwood wanted to thank Alex with a K, especially for the custom music that they did. There's other music in the pack from Verbamentus, and I think there's a 9 Inch Nails track, Aimed Ahead. Immorpher and Bruno Tortorello also did music for the pack. So that didn't get recorded. Now we know. Okay, cool. So let's get this conversation started. Mr. Greenwood, how did this all come about?
Okay, well, this all came about, I'd say late November, December of last year. I kind of got the itch of, doing some coding of my own, working on like a little baby mod, so to speak. And I just basically started getting into, messing around with Quake C. And I just wanted to do basically a very mild mod, just add some minor features. Like, I think one of the first things I did was just basically like add Preach's code for like Z awareness, the better aiming ogre
Right.
type deal that's on his website. And then that worked out quite well. And, then I would add, I think I added some other stuff like Coburn's fish fix and like Seven's like properly positioned nail projectiles. And I just noticed, I was, basically a lot of like, looking at existing code, trying things out, compiling. I'm talking, this is like, square one kind of stuff. And then I just basically, at one point, I thought to myself, it'd be kind of cool if the ogre marksman actually had, did something different than, just, being basically not used in Quake. And I always this is going back before, I always liked the one butcher skin that Adaya had. And I thought, well, if I could package that up to where like I had like maybe a rocket launching ogre marksman, that'd be kind of cool. And then I got together with because of being involved with Dwell, I got together with Shamblernaut. I mentioned that I was working on a little baby mod, first time type deal, and he helped me um, code up and get a functioning rocket ogre marksman. And then it just kind of spiraled out from there, and then it got to one point where I'm like, I would really be really cool if I could bring, I always, liked the enemy roster that was in Rubicon 2. And eventually it got to the point, I was adding all kinds of little stuff here and there that I would find and ideas that I would have for like minor things. And then it got to the point where what I wanted to bring into the, it's a kind of snowball. What started off as like a little baby mod, baby's first mod, so to speak, or whatever the hell you want to think of it as. I come to a realization that I wanted to have something, quite a bit more. So it got to the point where, like, do I just keep adding to this mod? Or do I just basically append to another mod and then take that further? And then I realized that I really liked the features and the enemies and a lot of the assets and stuff that was involved in Rubicon 2. So I'm like, it just made sense to take what I had, stuff like the rocket launching ogre marksman, and some of the other things that I had, picked up here and there, and then bring all that, bring those little, all kinds of little things over into Rubicon 2 rather than try to do the opposite. Once I got that situated, I'm like, great. And then what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring in, my whole logic was I wanted to have a base mod that had its own kind of personality. I didn't want to just, you know, have, where, it's got like, the basic, Quoth dudes and the what. I wanted, and plus, Quoth is a closed off mod. So I just figured, leave that one well enough alone. So I thought, well, you got the, the base enemies from the Scourge of Armagon. So, I started looking into, the source code for that expansion pack, and then I again, it's good to have connections, and I talked about it with Creator, which Creator,
Yeah.
and he helped me port over like Armagon and the Centroid, and it just kept building from there. So then I started, started going through other. I started scouring through mods going way the hell back to, like, when Quake came out,
Yeah. I noticed a couple I had never heard of. I'm like, of course he found some obscure thing that it's like from way back when.
oh yeah, yeah, like one that I one in particular, and he's quite popular, is the drone. Have you ever played Operation Earth Magic, OUM?
Don't think so.
It's an older mod. Well, actually, the drone, he actually goes back further than that. OUM grabbed it. Actually, the drone is I don't know. I'm sure there might be one older, but I mean that's like one of the earliest custom enemies. That thing, I think, I remember when I found the original, like the original zip of that. That thing is from like December '97 or something, or just, or was it December '96? Yeah, it was old. I mean, it was programmed. It was put together by three people. It was a Fenwick, Ball, and Dodge, and he's just a little fella, And what's kind of cool is when the drone does his kamikaze move or actually explodes. They actually use Quake nails as shrapnel, which I thought was quite clever. So, but I think on that one in particular, before I found that, actually I grabbed also source code for OUM, and I actually went out and I actually emailed um, Fat Controller. You ever heard of Fat Controller?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, actually he's going by DJ Cranky Rabbit now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen those YouTube videos.
So I was actually able to get his email off his website for his DJing services or whatever, and I contacted him because I think I needed in particular, I forgot what was it exactly. It was something else involving OUM, or was it just that particular? I mean, this is almost turning into a blur, but yeah, he literally was able to retrieve it. He's like, "Give me a moment," and he dug it up and emailed it back to me. And I think I contacted iJed um, a while back for the source code for Rubicon Rumble Pack, because what we did is I moved it all over to Rubicon 2. And then what we did is we grabbed the base enemies from the Rumble Pack, which would be primarily the Berserker, the also AKA the dual chainsaw ogre, the Hunter, which originally came from Malice, but what do you call it? iJed and his fellows
Right.
retextured it, and I mean it looks it looks quite a bit different just through the retexturing. We grabbed a lot of elements from the Rubicon Rumble pack, and I think at one point, Fairweather was talking to me about the scoop, because he knew I was working on a like a mega base pack, a mega base mod, and he mentioned to me the scuba diving guy from Malice. He's like, that'd be kind of cool because really there's no really aquatic enemy that's used hardly that I can even think of besides fish and eels. Maybe if you're lucky, you might get like a what was it, the Hexen 2 squid or whatever. And so I dug up and looked into Malice, and I was able to find some source code for that, which bmFbr, is pretty sure it's reverse engineered from the Prog's Dash.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I'm
Just
I'm sure
just
that.
just from the look of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like the code indentation and stuff, it's all messed up in some places, and like they're using weird constants in place of floats. So like there's some constant there, like some service whatever that's using everywhere there's a float equals one. Was replaced by this constant, so it was like everywhere in the code. So I figured it would be something that a decompiler would do.
Naughty, naughty.
Yeah, yeah. But it was actually is it's quite readable, even in this case, because I think somewhere someone mentioned that like older compilers, they don't try to optimize the code so much, so you can decompile and they will reconstruct the code almost exactly as it was written.
Oh wow.
So we were able to work quite well with that. It's just some strange things that happened in the middle, but nothing serious.
Yeah. So basically, like looking into trying to get that scuba guy. He's known as like the Frogman from Malice. I think it might have been, Creator or Shambler, not. Maybe it was Creator that said, there's a lot of robots, that you could, I mean, it's like, are you going to grab the other big mechs? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I might as well. I mean, so basically we started grabbing, uh, all the large, big androids from that mod. So stuff like what was in Malice known as like the Rider and stuff like that. We've or the Banshee. They had some really goofy names, which just I took some artistic license and renamed them something more menacing and appropriate. And then we got them working, which was awesome. And then I went through and I retextured a whole mess of stuff. I mean, I retextured all the Malice robots. I retextured. Um, God, I didn't touch the classic Rubicon 2 dudes because, in my opinion, they look great. They're very clean and uniform as a military squad should look. But I mean, stuff. There was the one four-legged, particularly the four-legged robot, the what we call the Prowler. That was like blue, and it had literally a hot rod flame job on the legs. It looked a little garish. So I was trying to get basically the whole thing was trying to scour and trying to find enemies that would work well in a base mod to get a good variety and gameplay interest, and then get them to be cohesive and work together. Like other things like the Mega Enforcer from Zerstore, or the Super Enforcer, what we call now the Lieutenant from Backwards Compatible. In fact, the reason I named him Lieutenant was because the modder, his name was he went by he was referred to as the Lieutenant. So that's actually kind of an homage to the actual developers. So I mean,
Now,
you know,
is that the nail gun enforcer?
the red
Yeah, super nail
armored,
gun.
correct.
Cool, cool. Yeah,
Um,
those are great.
yeah, he was a little bit the coding on that was pretty. Let's just say it had some issues because even if you play the original mod, sometimes you'll get to a certain positioning and the sucker will be firing right into the ground. So a lot of things. So it's not just, I don't want it to make it sound like, yeah, we slapped this in the Rubicon and just like threw some enemies in there and called it a day. This is something that
No, no, no. It sounds like a tremendous amount of work. Now,
we
what about what about Arachnofloid? Is that original?
yes. Besides going through like mods going way back and trying to grab, elements that would work, that that was base or sci-fi themed, we do have some original, like like I said, like the rocket launcher ogre marksman. That's all original. I mean, I wouldn't say all original, but that's new, okay? Because I mean, it's still using the the original model from Quake. But the arachnofloid, that was modeled um, by Fairweather and coded by Shamblernaut.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, Fairweather, knew that I was working on this, and he was trying to learn modeling, and he approached me. He's like, "Hey, what do you want?" I'm like, what do you mean?" He's like, I'm gonna make you a monster. What do you want?" So I'm like, "Huh, okay." Well, I thought it'd be really cool to have like a spider, like a mechanical spider type deal, maybe like a shock droid. And there you go. He started, going to town and building it. Fairweather originally wanted to have a spider robot with a clear dome over its on top, that had
Sure.
like
Yeah.
that had like
Doomish.
that had like a brain inside the clear dome.
Right.
But of course, having like a clear dome on a model like that's not really doable. So I suggested, why don't you stick a Floyd on top, and
Yeah, it ended up being awesome. The first time I saw the model, I thought it was some sort of, don't know, joke or something. I just laughed a lot when I first saw it. But but this looks really cool.
and then besides the and but yeah but yeah, that was all Fairweather. He built that entire thing, did the animation, and he came up with the name. I had, I had the initial concept, but I mean that's all him. And then as far as actually making it function, that's all Shamblernaut. And besides that one, another one that was original. I mean, not from scratch, but it's the original critter was the Bambler. I don't know if you ran into the Bambler.
Oh, I definitely have seen the Bamblers.
And the Bambler was Marky's. That's Marky's idea. That's his brainchild. He's like, I want to have. He's like, basically he wanted to have like a pinky demon.
Right.
So
Right.
he's like, I want to have like a slightly smaller Shambler, but casting no lightning, and
And rushing the player, which is stress inducing.
yeah, and so basically I coded the Bambler, which was very easy to do. I just basically removed the lightning, and that
Nice.
was that was essentially it. And then I tossed the model to Fairweather, and I told him to give it a 20% reduction, and then Markey already had made a skin for it. And some people, they think the Bambler is short for baby Shambler. It's actually a bald Shambler.
Yeah,
And then I called it. I'm like, oh, the Bambler, and Marky. I don't know if he still does, but he hated that name. He's like, oh, and I'm like, well, you got a better name for it. He's like, it's like he didn't have one. So I'm like, well, there you go, Bambler it is. And some people get a kick out of the Bambler, and he doesn't really move any faster than the Shambler. It's just the fact that he's smaller. He appears to move faster.
And his sounds are pitched a little higher. So,
Yeah.
So they, that's great.
And I'm trying to think here. The axe grunt. The chopping grunt. That's from Lunaran's. The Lun SP1.
Yeah, I recognize them.
And that one I had to actually code walking.
Yeah, it didn't have a walking animation at the beginning, since it was. I think it was made from the player model. They modified the player model and took his animation frames and modified to make him look like a grunt with an axe. So the player model doesn't have any walking animation, so that passed it down to the axe grunts. And when the mappers tried to put him on path corners to walk, the mod simply crashed.
Oh, really?
Just crashed. Yeah. And it took a while for us to find out what was happening, and we discovered it simply doesn't have a walking animation. So
that's funny.
We have to do something about it. His animation is actually the same as the runs, but he moves slower, obviously. But the animation is more or less the same.
Yeah, basically, I took the code for the running and I just basically slowed it down here and there, and it looks pretty good. It works.
Yeah, it works. It works quite well.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think here. So yeah, like Armagon, even Armagon, everything that we ported in, for the most part, has had changes in the code. Even something. Albeit simple, and some of it's radical, some of it's simple. Like going back to that Prowler.
The Prowler.
That four-legged droid from Malice.
Mm-hmm.
His complete animation and attack is completely different than Malice, because we turned him into a railgun droid. Originally, he was just kind of a hopping around light machine gun guy.
I don't even remember what he shooted originally. I thought it were missiles or something.
No. He was strictly no. I remember that clearly. He was a machine gunner.
Oh no, I really didn't know. I didn't remember.
So we it's like, how many robots do you need that has, that just runs around, shooting machine guns? It's you got to have some variety. So yeah, that's totally different. That was I believe that was, in fact I know that was Shambler Not that did that one. He took some of the frames in the animation and just completely reworked it into a different character.
Yeah, we would just gather everyone at the Discord server that we created, and we kept discussing. Oh, we can do this to it, do that to it, and was like everyone helped a little bit, I think.
Oh yeah, case. That's the thing. It's like, I
it was
can't.
Very cool doing that.
I'm telling you, probably one of the smartest things I did, because what I did is, once I got this thing looking and working pretty decent, I thought to myself, if I want to, because the thing about making a mod, you can make the best mod in the world. If nobody knows about it or wants to use it, it's a waste. You know what I mean? It might be good for you, and you might make one killer map, and then you're going to run. You want to make a mod that people are going to use and enjoy, and then it's going to have some legs. You know what I mean? So I thought to myself, if I'm going to have this thing, to go anywhere, you got to promote it with a map pack. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So then I started looking around and scouring for people that not only did well at, mapping, but liked to make base maps, which is not as easy as you think. A lot of people, they'll make, their first map. they'll make a base map, and then after that, they're like, ugh, I hate base maps.
Well,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, from my perspective, I was always intimidated by base maps, this is kind of fun. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I was always intimidated by base maps because, for the most part, you're used to seeing just the id trims or maybe the mission pack trims, and yes, there are some classic texture sets now but when I started mapping. And I came back to mapping, I was just intimidated. I didn't want to tackle it. I didn't want to deal with the trim and all that detail because it's just easier to make an old brick, crumbling castle, right? So once I did it, I loved it because you can get away with so much. And I don't mean bad stuff. There are so many combinations of those textures you could do. It's way more freeing than other themes in the game. I've only made 2 base maps, but I really enjoyed myself when I did them.
Yeah, well, one thing I always say about base maps is that you're not too constrained to architecture. Like when you do something like a wizard team map, you must think about the general architecture and if things are matching, like a detail on a doorway or a pillar or things like that. But with base maps now, you can just go in and get crazy in each room. That's basically what I do when I map the theme. And yeah, I ended up liking a lot.
Well, since we're talking about that, talk about your map. How did that one come about? Were you always going to be doing mapping, and you just helped out with the Quake C, or did you come on in Quake C and then decided to do a map? Or
actually, Greenwood. Sorry.
Well, let me. I got a good segue for this. I don't mean to dominate the conversation here.
Oh, please.
But what I wanted to say was. Finding mappers that like to do base maps and they're good at it is not there's a handful here and there. So what I did is I started reaching out to people that I know like to map base, and one of the person I hit was bmFbr because he just got done not too long ago. It was that Mountains of Insanity.
Yeah, that's one.
Great map.
So that was a cool ass map. I'm like that was really neat, and I knew that he went to town on that, and it turned out great. So I contacted him, and I said, hey, I got this base mod. Do you want to make a base map for this crazy base mod with a whole bunch of new features and critters? And he's like hell yeah. So then I brought him on and brought all the other guys in. Some trickled in later than others. And then he reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, if you want, somebody to help you with some coding, and with some stuff here and there, I got some ideas, and I'd love to do that. I'd love to, And I'm like, and at first I was a little hesitant. I'm like, I got this vision, I want to do, this, and he's like, and he was, the whole time he was like, I'm not gonna jack with your vision. I think we got the same vision. He's like, we're on the same page. It's all cool. And hell, that was probably by far the best decision that I made for this project because bmFbr has been phenomenal as far as like helping out, coding, a lot of the innovations, which I'm sure he'll tell you about. In this mod have come from bmFbr, and so there you go. I kind of started that off. So he came in as a mapper, and then turned into basically, he is the assistant manager of the project. So yeah,
good job,
thanks.
both of you.
Thanks. Yeah, it was since I've done the Mountains of Insanity. I took originally Mountains of Insanity. It uses ProgSnap as a base, but I added a few things here and there. Mostly, it was we were my first steps within Quake C, so I didn't change much. It's like I added a couple half a dozen new entities and changed things here and there. But when I got into Alkaline, uh, since the base code was from Rubicon 2 and not Rubicon Rumble Pack. Rubicon Rumble Pack, it had a few more things that were added. I think besides the new monsters, like let me see. I think it has some fog triggers and maybe some
Res-
scripts and stuff. I don't recall exactly, but I felt initially that was maybe we can improve this, maybe we can improve that. And I reached out to Greenwood, and as he said, he was a bit reluctant at the start. So I just like, no, calm down. I don't want to cross you or anything. And it's just some features that I think that would be good to have to make a modern map um, up to the current standards that were already so high, but by things like arcane dimensions and dwell and EOE and stuff like that. So it was good that since we had a team of great mappers, I I try to be someone open to their suggestions. Like, oh, it would be nice if the mod could do something like this, like Copper, or this, like KD, and obviously within our limitations of time and quick seed knowledge, I try to cater to what everyone was asking, but at the same time, not to derail the project to turn it into development hell, like Greenwood always was afraid it would fall. But I guaranteed him, no, it won't happen. You can rest assured that it won't happen.
Yeah, that's always one thing I was worried about was one thing that I've seen before with people doing mods and big giant projects is it turns into this thing where like, oh, we need like an extra 6 months or we need an extra year, and then it never comes to fruition. And then there's just like, a sea of like loose code, and then nothing ever happened, and that always worries me. You know what I mean? I wanted to keep this thing moving and progressing, and yeah, I didn't want that to happen. But yeah, I'm done truck. If we have people like Bal and Jusley, they're going to ask for stuff. I mean,
Well, yeah, I actually was going to say that I wasn't going to use names, but I'm like, I know one mapper that would have a lot of requests. So how did you tamp that down? uh,
well,
but yeah, I know, I get it.
I mean, Bal, a lot of the stuff, we had a lot of stuff going on, and Bal was pretty happy with it. And then, what bmFbr was saying, he would say like, can we get this? Can we get this? And then, what we would do is we would try to see if, we would look at, let's say copper, or we would look at, code from, maybe AD or Prog's dump, or I don't do we really take anything from AD bmFbr?
I think just a few stuff, like some more development things. For example, the total there's a development thing in AD that it shows where are all the remaining monsters, the remaining alive monsters. And Ball was having some problems with the monsters disappearing on his map. Like he
Oh
finished the
yeah.
map and he didn't know like 3 or 4 monsters were staying alive, and he just couldn't find where they were.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
So
see,
that's cool. That's a great
so
feature.
that's one example of oh, let me see. I think I can come up with something. So I got up to AD's code and ported over the function that does that.
Just out of curiosity, how does that present itself? Like what's does it have little arrows or chevrons, or you just see them through the walls or something? How's that present
No,
itself in the mod?
it's more or less like a log in the console. It
Gotcha.
prints
So
the list,
gotcha.
the whole list of the remaining monsters. It limits
And
to
the
I think to
positions.
400 monsters or something more than
Nice.
that. The console crashes. So it prints the whole list of each enemy and what their class is, if they're alive or not, and in their position in the map.
Very
So
cool.
you can easily go into the trench broom and see, oh, this one that's running away, and it
Gotcha.
actually helped us to find some other bugs. For example, one bug that it's in the original Quake code that if you have a flying monster following path corners, if you have the two path corners that are different heights, the monster will not find the other path corner and it will keep running until infinity. Like that was happening. It was uh, going off limits on his map, and you wouldn't find where they were.
So the same Z height, right? Is that's what you're
Yeah,
talking about, right? So
yeah,
that's funny.
exactly,
I
exactly.
think it's so funny because I never knew that because I always keep them. I just duplicate them and keep them the same plane. So I would never have come across that.
Yeah, I
That's
think that
crazy.
actually happened to me once on the Mountains of Insanity. On the last section, there's a void section, and there are some scrags flying around that area, and I noticed that sometimes they just wouldn't show up. It counted, where the hell are the scrags that's supposed to be here? And what was happening was exactly that. They were missing their next best corner and kept flying straight until they hit the trigger void that were at the walls. So they would just disappear. And what? Now I know what
Yeah,
was happening.
that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah,
Yeah,
because those guys disappear into walls all the time anyway. That's
yeah.
funny. Nice. Well, so now what do you guys so we'll talk about the reception to it a bit, but before we get to that, what are some of the kind of the features and things you guys are most proud of? Like, wow, we really nailed it.
Well,
What,
one thing that I've always been very happy with, and that was going way back, is our code is clean. We have like what, zero errors or warnings or whatever. I mean, our code is clean as it's very, it's just I just get a kick out of that. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I think and you know who kind of started that was Shamrock likes to go through and clean up code. I think that's like, it's just one of those, because he likes, it's just like a hobby. It's like, let me make sure I got like no bugs.
well, it's irritating to see those yellow lines in the compiler.
And we just basically kept it.
Yeah.
We just basically kept that. I mean, there was, and I guess, some of that stuff also varies with the type of compiler. Like, I guess I guess the newer compilers pick up more stuff than some of the older ones. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like,
Yeah.
I ran, like, I know, like, so I'm not gonna say, like, this code here or that code there, has errors and blah blah, because maybe back then it didn't, you know what I mean? But yeah, our code's clean, and I would think probably the stuff we're most proud of, besides a hell of a good bestiary, is probably some of the stuff that bmFbr brought in, tell them about your Funk Shadow.
Oh, there are a lot of stuff I brought in, like regarding shadows and lights. First thing I brought was from Proxdump, the all the light stuff. For example, the ability to toggle styled lights that you
Right.
something you cannot
And
do in
and
vanilla.
just and just so everyone knows, originally that is just completely taken from Coburn's Slipgate mod, and it's
Yeah,
beautifully. We're talking about beautifully written code. So
yeah.
yeah,
It was awesome.
I can't take any credit for that.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I've brought in first, since I worked with that within my previous map, and so that's one of the first things I thought about bringing in, because I really like to experiment with new features and stuff like that. And another thing that I've made it's something that more or less hidden within the uh, Eric's light tool. It's the switchable shadows thing. It's more or less still not very much supported, I think, because on the current release of the tool, C doesn't support switchable lights if you have if you have bounce lights activated on your map.
Mm.
So what happens is, for I used that first in Mountains of Insanity, and I asked him if he would correct that, and he said, "Oh no, I have some unreleased version that even Ball had used that in Tears." And he sent me the version. It's the one I use until this day. That it supports to compiling a map with switchable shadows and bounce lighting activated. Uh, the So I started fiddling with that because it's not really in any mod, as far as I know. I think maybe AD has something on 1.8 version, but I even tried to use that, but I never got much far. But I came up with an implementation of my own that you can add that to basically any brush entity that can cast shadows can cast a switchable shadow, like funk doors and uh, funk shadows, the one that Greenwood said we're talking about, and funk walls, for example. And you can, like, you switch the entity's shadow like you would switch a light on and off. So you can have, for example, a door. When the door is closed, it will cast a shadow, but when it opens, the shadow's gone. And that's something I used a lot in my map. Yeah, a bit of show off actually, but
That's cool.
yeah. But I wanted more or less showcase it, and
And also
and I
don't. Sorry, go ahead.
no problem. Kiss it.
I was gonna say don't forget about you talk about doors. We probably have about the fanciest damn door
Oh
setup
yeah.
in the
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah,
your base doors. I was going to tell you that. I'm glad you mentioned it because I love those doors.
yeah.
bmFbr is probably has about. I mean, if you look at the keys when you do a funk door, if you look, it's like a laundry list. He's got it where you can customize every day, I mean, like custom sound for opening, custom sound for this, custom. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's got some doors that open up like it's they rotate and fan out, and it's just it's
Yeah, yeah. I actually I completely rewritten the source code. You can, like, have parts of a door that move with a different timing. Like, you can set a delay for a specific door part to start moving. So you can do very complex doors comprised of many door entities, different door entities. I had to rewrite the whole door linking algorithm because the original one was buggy and wouldn't link correctly
Oh
all the
man.
doors touching, and so it would work just as intended, and it did. And that's one of the things I'm really proud to to have done.
That's great. Yeah, and now I know what we're going to use for door jam, right? Greenwood.
Yeah.
that, that's
I'm
that's
so
been
upset.
that's been a running joke for a long time.
Yes, yes.
Although
everybody and
Yeah.
everybody thinks, and here's the thing: everybody thinks it was originally a joke, and it really wasn't. It just took me forever to finish Prog's Dump. I said we'll do door jam when I'm done with Prog's Dump, but it ended up taking an extra year, and I still haven't gotten around to it. That's funny. Well, now, yes, that's fine. I'd be so. Is was that all you wanted to say, bmFbr, about that particular some of your additions? Because I have another question.
Oh,
he's got some other ones. He's just being modest. He's got a
Mhm.
yeah, there was so much things that I messed with within this code that out of my head now, I that's the ones I remember most. But there were many
did,
things that have changed.
didn't you also have like a moving models feature?
Oh, moving, no, not moving, but I changed the misc model so they can be toggled, and they can be solid. They can be affected by gravity and stuff like that. But not sure they can move. No, I didn't have
Okay.
that. But I've changed the mix model code too. Oh well, and one another thing that we brought, it was, I think it was brought in from Rubicon 2. It's the circuit board.
Oh, the circuit board. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
we already had. I mean, we're the base. The base was. You mean the rumble pack?
yeah. It was funny because everyone ended up using it somehow.
Not me.
Uh, oh, yeah. I think you're
Are you guys
the
are
only,
you guys
maybe the
talking
only
about?
one who didn't use it.
Are you
But
talking
it
about
was,
plugging in the circuit board into a wall? Is that what you guys are
yeah,
talking about? Okay, okay,
yeah. I
I
think
got you.
most maps ended up using it, and it was some sort of recurring joke because its original name is like 17 centimeters from its board or
Yep.
something, and so it ended up being an inside joke there. So, but everyone ended up using it, and I think, um, yeah, it was something interesting. I've changed this code a bit. I think to be more customizable. You can change the model, you can change the sound, so it works something like a dummy item. You can use it for whatever you like. It's not it does nothing by itself. It's like it just triggers its targets when you pick it up. So you can trigger any kind of mechanism with that, and it's really pretty flexible.
Also,
Since
another thing that before I forget, another thing that we have that is is pretty neat. We have not only do we have custom gravity, we have
oh
a brush based and a entity based. We've got two different versions of setting up low gravity. So there's the version I think that you got in Prog's Dump where basically you could like walk through a brush to trigger low
Yeah,
yeah,
gravity.
yeah.
that's from Mission Pack 1. Yep.
Well, on top of that, we also have an entity-based gravity, so you can actually just have like a shootable button type deal, and
Yeah.
you can turn off gravity on and off, and you can have your settings, and you can do all kinds of stuff that way. And you don't have that annoying little message in the top corner either.
Oh yeah, that was who came up with a solution for that? I don't remember. If it
Creator.
was Creator. Yeah,
Yeah.
What annoying message? What do you mean?
yeah. The thing is, when you try to set up a global gravity, when the game is already running, if you're already in a map, it will show up a message at the corner of the screen saying like gravity change or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's an engine thing.
Oh,
It's
weird.
automatic. So creator came up with some. I don't know exactly how he he got rid of that. I think he prints a lot of empty lines on top of that, so it scrolls up at the console. I think it was that the solution that he came up with, but it worked, and it worked fine.
That's wild.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like, but yeah, we try to basically add, features that are used often, like fancy fog, meat fireworks,
Yeah.
um, you know, say, trigger checkpoint. Did we use? I don't think we used trigger checkpoint from Rumble Pack. I think we actually used autosave from Copper, didn't we?
Yeah. Was from Copper. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like custom sounds. I mean, it's yeah, which there's different ways you can go about that. We try to basically add features that not only did we add features that are found in most mods, but we also try to add other little things that would also be helpful to the mod, to the mapper, because that's what that's what it boils down to. You know what I mean? Is you got to get the right tools.
Well, that's a good segue into the dev kit. So now you have a dev kit on the horizon. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, currently we were working on that. I'm writing a complete documentation. So all
Which
the
is always
changes.
super fun, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a blast.
Yeah, no, I actually enjoy writing that. As weird as
Yeah.
it sounds, but I do. And but
I didn't mind doing it. I really loved doing it for Prog's Dump. It was actually I wish I could have done it even more fancy than I did, but it
yeah,
was
yeah,
just the amount of information you have to communicate, and you have to really try to for me anyway, I wanted it to be very beginner friendly, so there's no question. You just like look at the manual; it'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah,
So,
the documentation I'm writing is I'm trying to mimic more or less the way the Copper's documentation was written, and also Proxnump too. But I think it covers well all the new entities and features, but it doesn't go extremely deep, like saying each field for each entity. For that, you can check the in-editor documentation
right, the
for each.
FGD.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm trying just more an overview around all new features and entities and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I mean,
And
it's like the FGD right now as it stands is pretty darn. It's pretty complete. I mean, it's he did a good job, tossing in the little blurbs here and there to explain, how the tools are used.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so a lot. He did a lot of the heavy lift. A lot of the heavy lifting is done already. But there was constantly things being added here and there. And then some things just haven't been, explained maybe to the, we don't want to basically put it out and have to turn around and answer a bunch of questions here and there.
Hmm.
You,
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't,
because go ahead.
no, no, no. Sorry.
I was gonna say because we're still doing some minor tweaks here and there based on some of the feedback that we've received. Um, but I mean, it's just about there.
Yeah, yeah. I think in the next few days, probably we'll finish the and pack the whole thing up. We'll probably release like a 1.1 version with some balancing stuff on the maps themselves, like some bugs that came up. They always come up, obviously. Some bugs that came after the pack was released, and we probably will be launching an update, and thinking that maybe the dev kit will come together with it.
That's great news. Yeah, because there are already people talking about mapping for it. I definitely would love to get in there and jump in and make some. Like I said, I've only made I think 2 base maps, and this is a perfect excuse to just jump in and go crazy. And
Yeah,
and Greenwood, like I think you mentioned to me, is that you felt like even though like something like Arcane Dimensions and Quoth have base monsters, you just kind of wanted to do a different flavor. Is that accurate? I mean, you didn't want to kind of emulate too much of what those 2 mods did. You just want to have your own thing.
Yeah, that's right. What separates this mod from a lot of other mods is probably 2 things, and that's probably the well 3 things. Okay, it's probably from a lot of the enemies come from historical mods that I wouldn't say like are overlooked, but that a lot of folks aren't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then another large portion comes from Malice, and except for the Hunter, I don't think a lot of Malice enemies were used prior. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say the third thing, because I don't want to be, I don't want to leave anything out. And then the third thing would be a lot of the the culmination of a lot of like features found elsewhere, along with some new nice features and quality of life stuff that's packaged in here. So I would say all that stuff. Plus, it's got that it's only got one focus, and that's base. So
Right.
it's not like it's trying to cater to this and cater to. It's just all it is base. So I mean, it's like yeah. I mean, you could code for with Rubicon 2, but I mean, heck, this is Rubicon 2 plus plus plus. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
It's like Quoth is a fantastic mod, but we have more base enemies than Quoth. Same with AD. AD is a fantastic mod too. I'm not going to poo-poo on any of that stuff. But if you're trying to make a base map, you're going to be hard pressed to find something better.
Yeah, and all the features we put in it was things that we thought we would good to have for base maps, like specific effects, for example, lighting effects that I brought in from Proxstomp, lighting. I mean, uh, and I tweaked that a little bit and added some more stuff, and things like let me remember, like gravity stuff and things like that. Little things that we thought would be nice to have, and also based on what our mappers had as ideas. And there some other things, for example, I've created actually some things more direct into scripting. Like there's a state system that's similar to AD's E-state, anti-state, and Copper's target lock. We have a similar feature that you can enable or disable any trigger or boost entities or doors and buttons and things like that at will. And little things like that we thought, oh, this mod does this, that's cool, maybe we can bring that in, and that mod does that, that's cool. So we tried to get a little bit of what we thought was best from each mod.
So you have one hell of a slate of mappers in this mod.
Well, yeah, we've got a total of 10 maps. We got the start map made by Macon, and unfortunately he fell ill, so I had to kind of finish up some parts at the end, and some setups like the nightmare mode, etc. I don't know if you were able to find the nightmare mode.
Not yet. I mean, I didn't even look because I want to play through the maps.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's one of the coolest nightmare selections I've ever seen in a map.
Nice.
And did you did you at least like the little reactor in the back?
Of course.
Okay, well
Loved
I did that. So I didn't do a lot. I didn't do a lot to that map, but I can claim that. And also
Yeah.
I made the little name tags, and everybody's going like, "What the hell is hell mode?" I actually got the idea from Abyss of Pandemonium. Plus, it's 4 letters. It fits. But yeah, Macon did a great job on the start map, using his own custom texture set, which is a Macon 3. Bal did a wonderful Void map, textured with Doom 3 textures. Bloodshot, with I mean, the way he used Malice turned out beautiful, and it's also also the ending is, you got to admit, Dump Truck, the ending is fun.
Oh, it's a blast. I loved it.
bmFbr, yeah, he did all right.
yeah, it's fine.
But no, his thing was in base, and
that's clean as a whistle, that map.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
Thanks.
And I did a map with the Tittle style that we talked about. Grome did a really good representation of Rubicon 2 with his map. Jusley had like a BC7/Quake 2 mix on his map, which you said that you did get a chance to play, right?
Jusley's, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You liked it, right?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I have nothing bad to say about this mod. I love it.
and then Mr. Haita did the crate/speed base map, which had a really unique look. It's almost kind of like, did you ever see Blade Runner 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got this like high-rise cityscape type of deal that is very unique. And
I said Mr. Hate is one of the most visually impressive maps in the whole pack.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then I got that one. It was going to be a secret map, but then it ended up, because of some dropouts, being moved to the main Rotunda or whatever. It was the Scampi and Greenwood one. Basically, that's kind of like a little homage thing. I actually grabbed 3 speed maps from Scampi from back in the day and repurposed them and combined them into a map. And then I textured that in Impel. Speaking of Abyss of Pandemonium, textures, and then Ziggy, last but not least, used IckBase to make a really lovely, gigantic space station. So I just wanted to,
it's the monster of the pack. I would say Ziggy's map. It's like almost 400 monsters or something.
Ziggy is just tearing it up, man. I mean, his work is so astounding. How far he's come in just a year. It's pretty amazing.
And just a little something to add. He finished his map while his wrist was
broken.
Yeah, broken wrist.
Are
actually,
you kidding me?
Oh.
Nope. Yeah.
Nope.
Last few days.
In fact, I got a kick out of him. He's like, man, I don't know, man, it's gonna be tough, man. It's because he literally has broken bones in his wrist, and I'm thinking, okay, well, just try your best and wrap it up, and then he turns in this behemoth of a map, and I'm like, what the? It's like the thing. It's huge. It's a big map.
Well, it's a hell of a package. You guys certainly accomplished something fantastic, and it's making a lot of noise. Let's talk about the responses that you've had. You kind of mentioned you're making some tweaks and everything, but I just from what I'm scrolling through Funk Message Board right here, and I know there's been other places like on Twitter and everything. So you guys have to be really pleased with the response, right?
It was shocking. It's like I was busy trying to get all this stuff packaged together because a couple of folks, man, they waited till like the last minute to get like their final version in. There was a couple of days where I literally just didn't sleep. I was just working on getting all this stuff out, and I tried to get that teaser video, which of course I had a couple folks tell me about how give me a hard time. But I mean, darn it, a teaser video is just that. You got to get it out before the release. So, and I'm not Spielberg, okay? So sue me.
You did great. You did fine.
But it was fine.
I tossed up that teaser video, and I think within 2 days, that little video I slapped up on YouTube had over 1,000 views. And I was like, whoa. And in fact, I checked before we started recording this. I mean, it's been up for, like a little over a week, and it's got like, damn near 2,000 views. What happened when I released it, Fairweather popped the thing on Twitter and a couple other social media sites. I'm not a big social media dude, so whatever, and let them have at it. I did put up the post on the Quadicted forums, and I think before I checked, it had over 4,000 views, and the thing's been up for a week.
Oh,
that's got to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, I didn't know it was already at that.
It's 4,500 views.
Whoa. You mean on Quadicted?
In the Quadicted forums.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great. That's good, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, because I posted the sucker on 6/13, so literally a week ago. It's had over over 4,500 views. So I mean, that's I mentioned that to somebody, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "It must be good." So I mean,
it is good.
What happened? But I think it's all because of the social media thing. It's like they, you get posted on Twitter, and then they reposted somewhere else, and then they reposted somewhere else. And it just kind of snowballs. So, I mean, the key thing is I rushed. I really was rushing to try to get the sucker out. Number one, before this whole Quake 25 thing hits, because once was it a Tuesday? Once all that hits, I really didn't want it to get buried. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
in, in the mix of everything else, because between the Q25 limits, and then was it the Q625, deal, and then I think there was something. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out. So
Oh yeah. Tuesday's going to be
Yeah,
kind of bananas.
yeah.
yeah.
I think there's one more project that I'm aware about, but I don't know exactly what it is. But I know there's some like two other projects or something that are probably coming out. So yeah, we're gonna be it's gonna be really crazy days.
Well, you guys, again, you accomplished something magnificent. It's a brand new mod. People love it. It has its own personality. It doesn't feel like other stuff, even though it's kind of patched together a lot of elements. They're all the elements you guys put in there are fantastic. So, and I am scrolling through these screenshots you guys posted on Quadicted, and it's pretty stellar work. And all the thing I love is all these maps have the really distinctive theme and
Oh,
and personality. That start map is so spectacular. It's so beautiful.
yeah. I didn't.
Um,
I didn't mention that. Yeah, that was one thing that I set us that I kind of really set at the beginning, is I wanted every map to have a separate theme, to have its own distinctive theme.
mhm.
So like one map is id base, one map is ick base, and of course, I wanted Ziggy to do ick base, because
Mhm.
fingers Kiernan, or he's Finnish. You know what I mean? So I figured,
Mhm.
who better to promote the Finnish texture, the Finnish made texture set, than a Finnish mapper. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we got id base, we got ick base, we got malice as a theme, we've got Doom 3 as a theme,
Quake
um,
2.
Quake 2. We had an ob text, but that kind of didn't pan out. Which that would have been kind of cool. But it's like every single map has its own separate theme. Um, I don't have the list right in front of me, but I mean, it's like, what else do we have? We had
You have Tiddles.
Let me see. Let's see.
Tiddles.
Well, that was mine.
Right.
That was kind of an unusual one, because
Rubicon 2.
Speed Base, Impel, Ick Base, Malice, Doom 3, Ick
yeah,
Create.
Base,
yeah,
Rubicon was all in.
yeah. That should be everything. So yeah. One was, create and speed base. That was kind of like lumped together, because there's a lot of similarities, and it's designed by the same guy,
Mhm.
Speedy. Yeah, Tiddles is kind of funny. Did you ever played a Tiddles map?
I had to have, because some of the stuff looks familiar, but I don't know. I'm not recognizing the name, the author name.
Yeah. Tiddles, he did a series of maps, years back, and it had a very distinctive theme. So what I did is I just basically downloaded all of his maps, and made like a wad from it. And I noticed a lot of the textures were the same. And then what I did is I also peppered a little bit of some of the orange Quake 2 textures that Lunaran did for Orange Whip.
Yeah, yeah,
So I guess you could say it's a Tiddles Whip,
yeah. I was gonna say Tiddlywhip.
a Tiddles Whip
I
mix.
love those orange textures. Those are from a deathmatch map, and he took those, and I don't recall the name of the map, but he took those and spruced them up and added his own stuff, and they're so cool. I'm just dying to use those one day. But yeah, good stuff. I'm looking at all these Tiddles maps. It's great. You did a good homage. Good stuff. Well, we better wrap it up. Let's parting thoughts, parting words. BMF, you go first, and we'll let Greenwood wrap it up.
Yeah, I hope everyone likes the pack and the maps, and I hope everyone gets a fun time mapping with it, with the dev kit that we'll be releasing the next few days. And I'm really happy to be part of this. And yeah, that's it. And thanks Greenwood for the opportunity to calling me into this whole thing.
Yeah, of course. So thank you for all the stuff you pitched in. What are you kidding me? Um, if it wasn't for people like bmFbr and Creator and Chandler Knott and the Mappers and even other people like that I mentioned Marky and especially and Fairweather, everybody was very very supportive and willing to help out here and there. Some at to a greater extent than others, but I mean it was a lot of positivity, a lot of everybody being on the same page that kind of helped bring the whole thing together. And already we're planning on some stuff for Alkaline 1.1, like for an update. You know what I mean? Where we've already got some ideas in the work for to proceed further. I mean, heck, there's a couple enemies that weren't even be able to. We didn't even have a chance to showcase in some of the maps, like some of the water enemies, for crying out loud. So one thing that I was thinking about doing, dump truck down the road. Once the Quake 25 stuff blows over, and we get this really refined dev kit out, is I would really like to have an alkaline jam.
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing stopping you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
definitely got to do it.
So that way, we can, people can go nuts and really make some cool stuff.
That's it for this episode of the Quakecast. I do want to say that there is a jam going on right now. We recorded this a while ago. So now there's a dev kit, there's a jam. I'll have all the information below. And a big shout out to Michael Markey for this fantastic music that we play every episode. Also, enjoy your summer and be safe. We'll be back soon.